So women think they're at their sexiest in their 20s.
They're teasing me in my ear because they said that when I walk over from the sofa, I was like RoboCop without the oil. Swines. Larry, something to say?
Oh, I apologise for my very... I never say anything bad on this show, ever, but I said a word I shouldn't have said, and if any kids watching in particular, not a word to be
relation
repeated.
to getting drunk.
It was. Yeah. I apologise.
Rhymes with mist, that one, yes. So, no more.
OK.
OK. Women over 55 aren't sexy. So says 45-year-old artist Tracy Emin in an article in The Times. Sexiness, she says, kind of floats away, goes somewhere behind them. It's like they cast it away, the sex shell drops off, and they become something else. Tracy hasn't got a partner and is desperate for kids. She's terrified of reaching that particular postmenopausal milestone. But has she any reason to be scared, to be so down on her older sisters? It's ironic that just a day or so after Emin mouthed off about older women, the Daily Mail published this picture of the ravishing Helen Mirren, who's 62. There you go. I think she looks beautiful. I think she looks sexy as well. So is she the exception that proves the rule? Well, my mum is 90-something and she looks absolutely remarkable. Something to do with the booze preserving her skin, I guess. But I reckon plenty of men would fancy a roll in the hay with her. So is So is Tracy Emin out on her own on this one? Well, probably not. Hollywood stars, including Jane Fonda, Sharon Stone and Whoopi Goldberg, often moan they're not cast so often after passing a certain age, which is most certainly not the case with ageing Hollywood heroes Pierce Brosnan, 55, Harrison Ford, 66, and Sean Connery, 77. Is that because the girls have lost some of their sex appeal? A study of human sexuality, the Kinsey report, found Western men thought postmenopausal women were frightening because they were more experienced, both in terms of hiding the sausage and in life experiences as well. But it's what other women think that I'm more interested in hearing today, as it was a woman who sparked the debate in the first place. I'm tempted to go with Larry first, but I'm not. I'm going to go with Belinda. What do you think?
Do you know, this is terrible. I don't think anything. I have absolutely no idea what anyone's talking about. I mean, it's so individual. Some people aren't... I mean, you know, it's completely personal. Some people would consider themselves to be sexy until the day they die at 107, and some people, aged 12, don't and never will. I don't see what the fuss is about.
Is
I mean,
it about
who
how
really
it's
cares?
about how the person feels rather than what other people think?
Well, yes, everything's about how the person feels and how they think other people feel about them. And
but Tracy Emin clearly has a sense of dread.
That's her own personal sense of dread that's now sort of been cast out for everybody to make a fuss about. I really don't think it matters anyway. I mean, it's, you know, so what if some people aren't or don't feel sexy after a particular age and other women do?
Her feeling was that by the time she reached 55, that no bloke would want to go out with her.
Well,
she would no longer have children. I think the main reason people don't want to go out with her is they don't want to end up stuck on her tent.
I mean, some people just might not want to go out with people after a certain age, or some people do. I don't see how you can't lump people together like that. It seems crazy. And I just don't care enough about it.
Larry?
So.
I'm going to stick up for Tracy Emin because I think she's said something that said the unsayable in a sense. Because I think there is a great fear of invisibility among women, older women. And I think I remember saying to a guy once, asking him about a woman attractiveness, and he said, female attractiveness, he said, a woman of 20, attractive, a woman of 30, more attractive. And he went, then they carry on through their 30s, they get more attractive, not attractive. And that's what he said to me. He said he felt, I think a lot of men would say this if you asked them, that for them, a woman is very attractive and then she hits the menopause and then somehow we're not interesting anymore. Now, that's wrong, but it's what happens.
Why
because
does that happen?
It's to do with a biological thing to do with whether women can have children, which is why men fancy them, because they want to impregnate us. Now, I think it's also worth saying that what this whole argument is predicated upon is the fact a woman only has value if she's sexy to a man. My mother is in her 70s, and she comes from a generation of women who, they got married, they had the children, they had the menopause, and then they were reborn in their 50s. Yes. Like Emin is saying, less interested in sex and more interested in doing other things. And my mother has had a fantastic, from the early 60s, say 15 years, when she's been an absolute dynamo. And I think there are a lot of women like that who actually, I remember talking to a woman recently who lives on my street, and she's probably 60, and I talked about men, and she said, oh, men, I wouldn't know what to do with one anymore. And she doesn't care because she's got other stuff to do with her life, and good for her.
So you said right at the beginning you're going to stand up for Tracy Emin here, but are you standing up for Tracy Emin? Because actually Tracy Emin isn't saying anything positive about age. All she's saying is how she's terrified that what she has now, the stuff that she validates herself through now, will be gone in 10 years' time.
I think she's opening a debate which I think is really interesting. I think the other thing we haven't talked about is men, of course.
But everything you just said is positive. Everything you just said is positive. Nothing she says was.
Men believe that only they don't age and only women get old, and therefore this whole idea of, well, Pierce Brosnan is so sexy. We didn't see him with all his clothes off in Mamma Mia, and I don't know whether I'd have wanted to. There was a very quick shot of him diving into some water. And you thought, oh, a little bit wobbly around some areas, and that's the reality. I'm afraid men do age, and men don't get more attractive. One thought of Ronnie Wood last week, who was being, oh, look, a bit of rock and roll, lifestyle. No, the man is 61. I wouldn't want to be in bed with him.
62,
and well, most, men at 55 are not necessarily as sexy as they were at 25 either. That's the reality. The shoring up.
Larry, what do you want to be at 55? Do you want to feel sexy?
Who knows if I'll still be around at 55? I don't know. I honestly don't know. The thing is, you always say, when I was 20, I thought it'd be really old to be 40, and now I'm 40, whatever.
Exactly.
So, let's get there first.
But why do people go on about age? I don't think
because we live in a youth-obsessed world.
No, because nowadays, there are so many things to make women and men look younger. But everyone goes on about Joan Collins, 75, which she is, but she doesn't look 75. It's what you look like is the age that you should be talked about. And everybody talks about, in any article, in any paper, it will say so-and-so and so, age 50, age 35, age 75. And I think that's where we go wrong, in actually putting the ages down all the time.
I find, out of all of this, I'm still fascinated by Larry saying I'm going to leap, Tracy Emin's opened the debate, leap to offence. In actual fact, she said totally the polar opposite of what you said. There wasn't one positive word in what Tracy said. It was just a feeling of dread.
She's expressing the fear, which is a real fear.
But it's the same fear that I think you said very clearly was the fear you had of being 30 when you're 20, 40 when you're 30.
But there is a particular attitude to post-menopausal women that sees them as not sexy. That is true. And if we say anything else, we're not telling the truth. That doesn't hold true. Is not hold true for men in their 50s. We are told they're still attractive. The reality is they are not as attractive as they were. Pierce Brosnan was gorgeous at 35. He is less gorgeous at 55. He's good looking, but he's still less gorgeous.
Well, is he?
Oh, he is.
I mean, I just think it's nonsense. One person's meat is
beholder,
another person's poison.
I mean,
what is this? I don't think there is a debate. People are just people.
There's definitely a debate, and we definitely live in an increasingly age-focused society in which youth is celebrated over every other quality.
But
wisdom, intelligence
is a sort of weird concept. I mean, I agree with you that there's a biological imperative and that we're programmed to have children and then we can't at a certain point. But I mean, it just doesn't seem to. It doesn't seem to matter. I think the age thing is something else. I think there are qualities that are no longer admired, like wisdom.
Yeah.
Which I would think is a more important debate than whether anybody looks good in a bikini or not. I mean, who cares? And also, people find each other attractive at all.
I have to say.
People find things attractive about each other that aren't necessarily to do with age or body fat or
I've got to throw it open to the people at home because we've had loads and loads of calls, which I'm delighted by. So let's find out if it's all over at 55 for you girls then, Amy.
We've got a caller who is 55.
What do you think about 55? You looking forward to it? Truthfully?
No. Well, I don't know. I think what everyone on the panel said the same thing. I think it's from in here. If you feel sexy and you feel good about yourself, and that's what's attractive to other people. Okay. That's what I think anyway. Okay. And I do fancy Sean Connery, so
do you?
Yeah. We've got Anita on line 1.